Having a credit card lost or stolen is a hassle. Thankfully, most banks and credit card companies are sophisticated at catching fraudulent charges before a scammer gets too far. Recognizing you're part of a larger scam can be harder to detect. Today, we want to explore modern scams and ways to protect yourself from criminal threats. So we want to start off today and say, if you feel like you are a victim of a fraud or a scam, and you've stumbled on our YouTube video to determine, am I part of a fraud or scam, you should really stop the video now. And you need to go to one of the websites listed below to either reportfraud.ftc.gov or IdentityTheft.gov and go ahead and report it. If you suspect any sort of malice, report it now. That's really the first step. But today we want to dive into what are some of the more common frauds and threats. And really, as we think about this, our investors, our clients are in that key generation for the people that are going to be exploited. They're, no offense to our clients, but they're older. And most of these scams leverage technology. And the older that I get, the less that I want to deal with technology. And so I think about even myself as a digital native, I've had my entire life in this and I want to get away from it. And so I'm not trying to be on the cutting edge. And so if I imagine myself in 30 years, in 40 years, if I'm more disgruntled and snarky then than I am now, I'm not going to be spending the time to be on the cutting edge of cyber technology.
Right.
And so really the reality is here that in 2023, the Federal Trade Commission reported that consumers lost more than $10 billion to fraud in that year alone. This is a massive problem. Frauds and scams are a big problem. About 4.6 billion of that came from over 100,000 investment scams. So the median loss there was about $800 per scam. And these are things like opportunities in day trading, gold and gems, art, rare coins, other investment products, companies that offer advice or seminars on investments. There are scams out there about that. 2.7 billion came from imposter scams. The median loss there is closer to 7.5 billion. So this is when someone pretends to be a trusted person and gets consumers to send money or give personal information out over the phone. It could be someone posing as a government agency, especially around tax filing time. There's going to be robocallers saying, hey, the IRS wants their money. And all they're trying to do is get the one person. That's all they need, is they need one person on the hook, and then they'll steal the money. So they know that they're going to make a whole lot of calls, and a lot of them aren't going to go through, or a lot of them are just going to be ignored. Then the next is there's almost $500 million from over 100,000 business and job opportunity fraud scams, about $2,000 per loss on a median level. These are offers to start a business, multi-level market schemes, work at home schemes. Just the reality here is there is tremendous amount of opportunity to lose money here. There were a total of 2.6 million fraud reports to the FTC in 2023. And in that calendar year, about $320 million was returned to consumers. And I think if we pull this back even further, these numbers are probably way underreported.
Sure.
And so these are just what has been reported to the FTC, the $10 billion of loss and the $320 million returned. It's way bigger than this because, especially as we've seen with the cryptocurrency industry, once the money's lost, most people know they're not getting it back.
And they're not going to report it. So again, $10 billion, I mean, the recovery rate there, if I'm doing math in pretty succinctly there, is about 3%. And, we look at it and there's about 2.6 million reports of fraud. So that's about 1 in every 100 people in the US are actually reporting the fraud. Of course, I've had my credit card hacked multiple times. I've never reported one to the FTC. I just go to the credit card company and say, hey, this is fraudulent. I need a new card, so on and so forth. And that's probably happened, I think it's happened 2 times in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
So most of us, we don't get the FTC involved with elements like that.
Yeah, because if it's a $50 loss, I'm not going to call the FTC. To me, my time is like, just cancel the card, give me a new one. I'll deal with a $50 loss.
Right.
And so the other piece of fraud that is aside from consumer fraud is over $1 million have submitted claims of identity theft. And this is about 41 out of 100 of these people came from credit card identity theft. Someone saying, I'm Spencer Hall, open a credit card in Spencer's name and send it to me in Texas.
Idaho.
Yeah. We're not in Texas nor Idaho.
Yeah.
About 28 out of 100 of these came from people trying to open a bank account or take a loan out in somebody else's name. So there are frauds and scams that are not just financial related, but they're trying to leverage your identity for their gain.
And these people, they probably didn't have their credit reports frozen like we've told you to do,
Yes.
nor had their capacity to open a new bank account frozen like we've told you to do.
Yes.
So you can freeze those capacities via check systems and via each of the major credit reporting agencies. If you do that, then it's not as though you are completely protected, but your protection level is much, much higher because it's so much harder to open a new account there.
Right, absolutely. And so the other piece we want to just touch on is there's been about $1.4 billion paid from crypto into these scams, and there is no insurance. These transactions oftentimes are irreversible. And so you have to, if you're in the midst of that, what you have to do is go to that exchange. If you're working through an exchange, if you're just working directly, money's gone.
Right.
But if you're working through an exchange, you can go to the exchange and say, please stop this. They might do it. Let's be honest, they're probably not going to do it. That's been the track record, is most of those companies won't reverse the transaction, but you might get lucky there. You can ask that firm to do it. And then about $1.8 billion was paid from bank transfers or other payments. So there's a lot of fraud and scam going on here. So we want to take a step back and say, okay, we realize that there's a whole lot going on. What are some of the most common frauds and scams that people fall prey to? And so we're not going to go into the multi-level marketing or the investment level scams. Some of them we'll touch on a little bit, but those are in a lot of ways way more complex and a little bit harder to dive into the details. Today, we want to look at one of the ones that most commonly affect individuals that we see. And the first one is phishing and smishing. Really profound words here, but it's essentially phishing emails or text messages. So phishing is an email is sent to you, and let's just say you have an account at Amazon or Microsoft, or the one that I love seeing the most is Norton Security.
Oh yeah,
I think Norton Security is a great company, but the phishing emails always come from Norton Security.
Right.
I have not bought Norton Security for probably a decade. Anyway, or Best Buy Geek Squad. It's all of these companies that are saying, hey, it is an email that looks like it comes from the company and says, your password was recently compromised and we need you to change your password. And the email looks like it comes from Amazon. They can mask the sender to where it says it's coming from Amazon. They can download the logo, the branding, the colors, the font packages to make it look like Amazon is sending you an email. Amazon is not sending you that email.
Right.
And so what they're doing, all they're doing is making you log into their website, log in with your current password so that they can then take your password and then go steal from you.
So let's make sure that we understand this. You're not logging into Amazon. You are clicking through to a fraudulent website.
Yep.
You're putting in your credentials, and then they've got to then be able to log into your real account and do some things there, like buy tons of stuff before you realize it.
Exactly. Yeah. So what they're doing is they're looking for you to voluntarily give them your personal information. The same thing is with the smishing, SMS, text messages. You receive a text message, and oftentimes these are very much urgent. And so it's preying on the emotion. Your account has been hacked or locked. Click this link here to unlock your account. Don't click the link.
Right.
It's the same thing. They're looking to guide you to a fraudulent website where then either they're going to ask you to log in, take the password and do the damage, or they're going to download some harmful software on your phone. And so it's one of those two. So the reality here is if you receive one of these emails from Amazon, if you receive a text message from the IRS, it's likely not from the IRS. It's likely not from Social Security. It's not from Amazon. It's from someone trying to hack in. So what you need to do in this situation is rather than clicking on that link, what you need to do is you need to go to Amazon.com and just try to log in. If you can log in, your account has not been locked. So you don't need to change your password in this situation. You don't need to change your phone number. What you need to do is you just need to verify. And that's what we're going to come back to a lot here, is it's really important to have steps to verify externally. So rather than clicking on links in an email or in an SMS, take an additional step and verify it externally. Verify it with the actual vendor.
So you close that out, you open a new browser, you click through and say it's Amazon or some other vendor or a governmental website, you put in your credentials, and then you would expect, if they actually are trying to reach out to you, then what's going to pop up pretty quickly thereafter is some kind of a notification.
Yep. Yeah.
Right.
Or your password's expired and you need to reset it.
Okay.
Or your password has been locked, or your account has been locked. If that is true, that because you've gotten on it from the direct website, okay, now you can input that information. But if it's just a random person, don't do it.
Right.
Okay, so the next one we'll talk about is more for our younger clients or kids of our clients. Student loan forgiveness scams. The reality is, with student loan forgiveness being talked about very broadly, there's people that are trying to prey on folks that have student loans. So scammers will contact you often through phone calls, emails, text messages, claiming to be legitimate government agencies that say, hey, the DOE wants to forgive your loan. If you're looking to have your loan forgiven and somebody calls you to have your loan forgiven, you might be excited and think, I should give him my information so that I can have my loan forgiven. Don't do it. Tell your kids, don't do it. Tell your grandkids, don't do it. Or they'll say, you can drastically reduce the payments or some other thing. Just give us the information. Give us the information for your bank account. We'll take care of it. Don't do it.
Right.
Just don't do it.
Right.
What you need to do, and again, they'll do things like act now to take part of this deal. Act now to have your loan forgiveness. There's always a sense of urgency. These scams, what they do is they try to, again, prey on our emotions. So if they can create in you a sense of, this is a great opportunity, I need to take part in it right now, stop and think. So to avoid this, don't pay any upfront fees to a loan forgiveness scam.
Right.
Don't share any personal information like your federal student aid identification number. Just don't do it. Verify all the claims on StudentAid.gov. Actually call your loan provider and say, hey, did y'all reach out to me with this offer? If so, let's talk about it.
Right. Is it true that President Biden is forgiving only the first $50 billion of people who respond to this offer today?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Probably not.
The legislation is not going to be structured in that way.
No. Okay, so the next type that we want to talk about are phone scams. These are both robocallers, but the more insidious one right now is impersonators. And so essentially what is going to happen in either of these situations is a robocall. Your extended car warranty is about to expire. Do you want to redo your extended car warranty? I'm sorry, I don't have an extended car warranty. My car is outside of the warranty limit. I don't want to pay you, impersonator.
Right.
So all they're trying to do is they're trying to get you to give them your bank account information or your credit card information so that they can take it.
Right.
If it's an extended car warranty, just hang up the phone.
Right.
If it's a robocaller trying to get you to buy something, just hang up the phone. They're just trying to steal your money.
Well, and oftentimes these are paired together. So you have a robocaller that reaches out, and then once they have you on the line, if you are going to stay on the line, then they'll put a real person on there. Right. But they realize that the robocalls are so inefficient because most people just don't pick up the phone. So just don't pick up the phone.
Yeah.
But if you do get on the line with someone and they start asking for any kind of clarifying information or what have you, then if they're reaching out to you, then you need to, again, hang up the phone, make a call.
Yep. Yeah. So again, it's proactivity. And so here's the real insidious one though right now is impersonator scams. So this is somebody that will call and they will try to impersonate somebody else. So let's just say our voices are on the internet. There's a lot of content that we have created that has our voices. So what someone can do is they can download an episode of Financial Planning Overviews. They can take out the snippets where I am talking or where you're talking. They can load that into what is called a voice cloning tool. Or if most of these folks are pretty sophisticated, you can download the packages for the software, download them onto your computer, write a couple lines of code. It's really not hard to create a voice cloning tool. I kind of started to go down the road to see if I could do it, and then I was like, it's not worth my time. But it's actually remarkably simple. If I wanted to do it, I could have done it. But they take these snippets, they feed it into a training model. The training model then understands the intonation of your voice, the inflection, all of this stuff. And then what you can do is then you can type it in and say, I'm going to call Austin's mom, and I'm going to do it because I've also paid a data broker $20 to get Austin's phone number. So they do what's called SIM swapping. They impersonate my phone number. So it looks like my phone number is calling my mom. So she looks at her phone. Oh, Austin's calling. And then it says, okay, so she answers. The person types on the computer, hey mom, hope you're doing well. I've come into a situation, I need $5,000. And hopefully in that situation, my mom would be like, Austin never calls and asks for money.
Right.
But if he does, then something's obviously going on. So again, it's preying on that emotion. And so then they'll go through this, but it sounds like me speaking. It's coming from my phone number. And so then my mom, what she should do, hang up the phone and call me. But oftentimes they'll go through this entire process of back and forth impersonating you, the individual who is the loved one.
Right.
And say, please don't hang up the phone. This is really urgent. Like I need it. And there's this sense of doom.
Right. And I've lost my phone and calling from a friend and all these kinds of other different things. And because all of our information these days is on social media, they also probably could reference, any of your kids' birth dates, anything that would be personal in nature that your mom might think, okay, well, I could ask this. Well, maybe not.
Right. And so the reality here is, again, hang up the phone, call. If you are traveling abroad, this actually makes it really easy for scammers. So let's say you're out of the country and then you get a call from your daughter, from your mother that is saying, or let's say you have a loved one overseas. They call and say, hey, I've been locked out of my credit card. I need you to call and I need you to send some funds, wire some funds over to me so that I can get home. Like if you're posting all your pictures from Europe and then a scammer sees that on social media that you are currently in Europe and then you call your loved one and say, I need money right now because I'm in this dire situation. It's just dangerous.
Yeah. So 2 hours ago, you posted a picture of the Sistine Chapel and then the scammer notes that, hey, I was just at the Sistine Chapel and I left my wallet there, and you just saw the picture and you're like, okay, well, this is social proof. It's not.
Yeah. Mom needs her passport number. Mom needs these other things.
Right.
What seems innocuous really isn't. So again, one of the episodes a podcast episode that we'll recommend here is from the Darknet Diaries, and it talks about the social engineering. So we'll link that episode in the show notes, just so that you can see how easy it is for someone to impersonate you. They dive way deeper into this. But again, some of the things that we think about here in this particular piece is have maybe a family safe word. If I know that every time Kayla calls and says, hey, I need something, or we need to do X, Y, or Z, if our family safe word is broccoli and asparagus are tasty, and I say, hey, what's tasty? And the scammer doesn't know, then I know it's not Kayla.
Right.
So if you have a family safe word or a family safe phrase, those are ways that you can do this. Or just hang up and call your loved one. So the last one one of the last ones that we'll touch on is romance games, AKA pig butchering.
Ooh.
This is such a terrible name, but that's what it's called. So what this is it's a modern online investment fraud. And what they do is they will create a fake persona. They'll create an online identity of this fake individual. They'll post pictures. And then they'll try to reach out on dating apps to individuals that they see are potential victims. And they'll reach out, they'll say, I'm lonely, I'm wanting to find friendship and love and all this stuff. They continue to build trust. This is a months-long process. So they're spending a whole lot of time creating this relationship. There's often going to be this facade of, oh, I can't get on the phone and talk, or I can't get on a video call and talk. We're texting back and forth. But you're building these feelings of intimacy with this person. So they're fattening you up here, both emotionally, and they're starting to get you ready for the slaughtering scheme. So the next is then they introduce some sort of investment scam. Hey, I've heard this. I've made a whole bunch of money on this cryptocurrency coin. I've made a whole bunch of money in X, Y, or Z. Most of these actually involve cryptocurrency. And so they say they create an app that then shows the line going up and how much money they've made. It's not hard to create fake apps, fake trading apps. And so they do this. And then they say, you want to invest in this. Send me some money and I'll help you do this investment. Download this app, send the money over. You're not investing in anything.
Right.
You're just putting the money into this person's account.
Right.
And this is where they're fattening the pig. They're just taking your money and taking your money and taking your money. And then they run away and your money's gone.
Right.
And you have essentially just given it to them. And again, this is preying on people's emotions. It's preying on loneliness. In all of these things, people are looking for lonely people who are isolated and longing for human connection. And so the reality is with any of these scams, you need to be proactive. But if you are being sucked into this allure of this relationship or this friendship or some sort of an urgency, that's where these often have really terrible consequences.
Right. And it tends to be, like you said, it's areas where there's no validation possible. And anytime that there is very limited human contact via FaceTime or in person, then our radars need to be up. That this may be something in particular that we need to avoid.
Right. So the last one is online purchase fraud. This is things like Amazon has thousands and thousands and thousands of sellers. Some of them sell fake products. Some of them sell knockoff Legos. Or just things like that you just have to look and say, okay, I've seen this Lego set, it's $60. This one's $20 and it says it's the exact same. Why is that? It's probably not real. So you're probably getting some sort of a fraudulent product. It might be a phishing scam. They may never deliver. There's just things. Amazon thankfully has higher standards where they actually have to deliver product. But there's other websites that don't. There's websites that can be created that just sell counterfeit goods. So there's things like that if you are buying products online, just be aware. Use reputable retailers. Don't use this weird backdoor offshoot website because it has some incredibly discounted products. Just be smart. Take an extra step or two here. So I think the reality when we think about protecting yourself from frauds and scams, the first thing that you really need to do is be proactive. Do what Spencer said. Go online, freeze your credit, freeze the ability for someone to open a bank account. Don't click unknown links. Don't answer spam calls. Be proactive. Create those family safe words. Don't wire money, cryptocurrency, or gift cards to anyone that you don't know. Again, your emotions are being preyed on in these scams. And so if you can realize in the moment, my emotions are heightened, stop and take a step.
Well, if you have the conversation up front with your loved ones to say, if you ever ask me for money or to purchase a ticket for you or anything like this, I'm going to give you a call. I'm not going to take a text message. I'm not going to take a email. I'm going to instead reach out to you on the phone number that I know you should have,
Yeah.
then that handles better than 9 out of 10 of all of these situations. And there have been plenty of times that we've needed to do this. And most of the times it's actually just something unusual and it's not fraud.
Yeah.
But you have the peace of mind to say, okay, did Dad really ask me,
Yeah.
that? Or, my cousin or my friend or whoever it is. And oftentimes, yes, they will have, but if you take that 30 seconds, you'll be able to verify that.
Right. So at the end of the day, one of the things that you can do just with your online identities, we've talked about this before, your online identities are out there. They're for sale. There's nothing you can do to stop that. But you can freeze your credit. You can freeze those bank accounts. You can do all those things. Use multi-factor authentication.
Yeah.
It takes another 10 seconds to open the multi-authenticator app, check it, verify it, type in the number. Is it inconvenient sometimes? Yeah. Does it protect you significantly? Yes. And then just, again, be proactive. And if you fall victim to a crime, report the scammer or the scam. Check your computer for viruses. Change your passwords. Freeze your credit. Call the FTC. Take the steps to make sure that it's reported. Because even though you may think it might not do a whole lot, the more that the FTC knows about these things, the more that the government knows, the better they can do to then try to be proactive about informing us.
Well, and if you report it to Amazon or other places that maybe they've got a fraudulent provider there, then certainly they can shut them down more easily.
Right.
We hope that you've enjoyed our conversation today. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We'd love to have a conversation with you. And until next time, take care.
If you like these financial planning videos, please share with a friend. And if you have questions, go to our website at SeriousRetirement.com. This content was provided by Retirement Planning Services. We are located in Knoxville, Tennessee. You can visit our website at SeriousRetirement.com. The information in this recording is intended for general educational and informational purposes only and should not be construed as investment advisory, financial planning, legal, tax, or other professional advice based on your specific situation. Please consult with your professional advisor before taking any action based on its contents. Advisory services offered through Retirement Planning Services, LLC.